morning, everyone. Welcome to Ham Radio Basics Live, Season 1, Episode 25, Hurricane Idalia Update. And we got a number of people in the house already. Let's welcome them here. Andy's here. Chris is here. John is here. Let's see who else. Dave Rollison is here. I want to welcome all you guys. Going to start off. I'm going to give you guys an update about Hurricane Idalia, learning how to pronounce hurricanes here. And then I'm going to go into some things regarding ham radio during a hurricane, and just some thoughts that I would share about that for you guys. So I'm going to kind of jump into this here. Hope everybody's doing well this evening, and want to let you know. Let's go ahead here. I'm going to go ahead and start sharing some things here. So hang on a second. All right, now, of course, I went ahead and the one big thing I wanted to have ready was my HTs. You can see I have a FT5D and an FT3D, and I also see right here, I have a spare battery being charged right here as well too. And also what I did was I got out my spare battery pack for the AA's from Yaesu, and it fits both of those radios. So I was definitely prepared as far as that was concerned. Now, one of the other things is when you go to Florida, that's not a curtain back there. That's our shutters, okay? And we have 9 openings or 9 windows, and they're corrugated metal shutters that are put up whenever a hurricane watch or warning is issued for your area. And those are the ones in the back. These are the ones in the front. And let me tell you, after all of them are up, it feels like, welcome, Jeff. Good to see you tonight. It feels like you're in a submarine, literally. And if you're claustrophobic at all, that can kind of start wearing on you a little bit. But these are made for, to withstand, Category 2, Category 3, and up winds. I don't know what the highest they can stand, but the big thing is with these shutters is they're designed to help prevent trees, tree limbs, debris, anything from getting through your windows. We do have 2 points of egress. We do have the front door, and we also have the garage door. Of course, I can disconnect it from the garage door from the track and manually open that up too. I don't have a picture of it available, but let me see. I can't bring that up. What I did was, let's go ahead here. Let me see if I can do this here on Ham Radio Basics. See, we're going to make a post. And you guys get to hang on just a quick second here. I'm going to show you an additional item that we have out here, and if I need to find it, okay. Thank you for bearing with me here, guys. This is one thing that I wanted to show you tonight as part of my presentation. Okay. All right. We also have, and I want to bring this up, get a picture of this here. Okay. All right. I do have it up here. Thanks for hanging in there, guys. Now, one of the things that we didn't have last year that we have this year is we have a whole home generator. It's a Generex generator, and you can see right here, the green indicator light means it's up and running. Right here, this is a 4G LTE module, and what that does is that will email us, and that will also send us texts whenever the system does a self-check. It does a self-check once a week at a prescribed time. And you can see right here, this line right here, it's powered by natural gas, okay? And basically, it's an internal combustion engine, all right? It sounds just like a car engine whenever it starts up, and it is loud. It's very loud. But we do have that peace of mind now, for our house. Um, it's very, very reassuring to have this here right now, and this is kind of what it looks like from the front of the house as well too. Now we had to plant some bushes and shrubbery around there, so hopefully that'll start growing. But I think you kind of get the gist of the idea as far as this is concerned. We did lose power last year, and I didn't want to have that happen again this year. So we went ahead and we made that investment. Now, one of the things you can see here from some of these things we're scrolling by on YouTube is, and you can see this is another view of the shutters, and this was also one of the updates that I had as well too. Um, all in all, right now, the big thing with this hurricane, we were very fortunate in terms of the amount of rain and the amount of wind that we had. We didn't have a lot of rain. We didn't have a lot of wind. Currently, right now, it's actually only partly cloudy, which is pretty amazing. The sun is out a little bit. So we're very fortunate as far as that's concerned. But what happens with this is over the next several days, we're going to have periods of rain, and that's to be expected. But the thing that is of the most concern for us right now is storm surge. Okay. And it can get anywhere from where we are, where we're located. And these are low lying areas on the coast, 5 to 7 feet. Now, this is also combined, and it's also a welcome, Janice. Good to see you here. Sam Weaver, welcome to you too. Jonathan, welcome. Glad you're here tonight with us. One of the other things is we also are at high tide. So it's kind of I hate to use the word perfect storm. It is a perfect storm right now. And it's something that you don't want to see happen. And these low-lying areas are really inundated and really hit. We have a river that's not too far from us. It's called the Idalia River. And, for us, we're not in a flood zone. We're not in an evacuation area, but everybody in evacuation areas and flood zones were asked to evacuate because they knew the storm surge would come. Now, Valerie's mom, my wife's mom, lives near the Idalia River, and that's one of the concerns for us. It's cresting right now, and I think it's over flood stage as far as that's concerned. She's about 3 miles away from it, so it's not a concern. But there's a tributary that runs through her community where she lives that could be a concern. But right now, I think everything is okay, and I think some of the water is receding as far as we know right now. I've been through now. This is probably the fourth hurricane since I moved to Florida. 3 official hurricanes, and I can say this was the least. I don't want to use the word scariest, but we didn't. Both my wife and I slept very soundly last night. Other times, you can hear there's vent flaps on the roof, and those are meant for hurricane purposes. It's also, it's our exhaust vent for like our kitchen. It's our exhaust vent for the dryer. Also the air vents for the air handler for the furnace. Those flaps are on there to prevent storm and getting a lot of water in there. But when it's real windy, it's kind of sounds like bongo drums real fast up there. Yeah, it can get, especially when it's really windy, it gets real loud. And then of course the other thing is when the wind comes through, it can come up and underneath the shutters that we have installed, and start making all kind of sounds. I mean, most of the guys when they install these systems, they're pretty tight, but some of them if they're loose, you can really hear that and rattling. Okay. Fortunately, I mean, because I think last year during Ian, we probably had about 70, 80 mile an hour winds. So it was kind of noisy overnight, and we probably didn't sleep real well during that period of time. But right now, the threat for us is over. It's headed up. It's probably through Georgia, and it may be making its way back out to the Atlantic right now. It's just, and one of the things that really kind of gets me is, okay, I'll backtrack here a little bit. The whole reason I got into ham radio was because of hurricanes. Okay. And there was one hurricane within the last 20 years that knocked out cell phone towers, and the only means of communication was ham radio. And those who were licensed were able to be lifesavers. And that whole old saying, when all else fails. I mean, it really was a lifesaver. And that was one of the things that got me to get my license and pursue it. And I'm very thankful it did. And I'm trying to get Valerie to do it as well, to at least get her technician license. But that's the long and the short of my update regarding the hurricane. These are traumatic events, and things stop around here. I mean, a lot of you from up north, whenever there's a snow, winter storm warning, schools closed. That's kind of schools closed down here. We have this kind of the same thing, but only with hurricanes, it's very widespread. There are a lot of closures, a lot of things closed today. For example, I couldn't go for my physical therapy appointment because they closed their offices today, and that was very apparent. So you gotta, it's a whole different way of life, and it's really from about this time of year, probably August, through November, December. Hurricanes can hit, and you have to be real wary of this. One of the other things is, and then we're going to get to another subject here. One of the other things that I wanted to talk about was most hurricanes, if you know anything, and you get an education when you move down to Florida, because hurricanes are a part of your life and you need to understand things about them and you need to be prepared. One of the things is most of the hurricanes are going to form in the Atlantic, probably I'll say the Eastern Atlantic, and, come up through the Caribbean. So, we're fortunate in the area that we live in, because a lot of the hurricanes, when they come out, and if you know the geography of Florida, that hurricane has to go underneath, like where Key West and Miami and everything is, go underneath and up and around and curve and loop over into Tampa. Okay. So that's why we don't really get a lot of hurricanes, but this one was rare. It was extremely rare because it started off the Yucatan Peninsula in Mexico. And they normally don't do that. And it was just hanging around and lingering. And, there's a lot of warm air, a lot of warm, humid air in the Gulf, and it was kind of fueling itself and getting started. And that's one of the things you have to be very wary, okay? Especially when, there's a meteorologist that I follow down here. And I have to say this, I know there's another one here as well, too. They're outstanding because they're not like the Weather Channel. They don't do a lot of hype. They don't do over dramatization. Okay. They tell you what you need to know when you need to know it. And if you need to evacuate, they let you know that. Okay. Our news coverage is exceptional when it comes to hurricane time. And they don't they don't oversensitize it. They don't make it over sensational. That was probably the word that I was using for, they do it in such a way is if you need to evacuate, they let you know about that. All right. And, the last thing, and, the sheriff's departments around here, pretty much law enforcement in Florida is there's not really a lot of what I would call, city of Tampa has police, but most of the counties have sheriff's department that handle law enforcement in the state of Florida. And, the one thing that they say is don't make us have to put our lives at risk to come get you. When you're ordered to evacuate. And if you need help, let somebody know and they'll help you out. Okay. So that's my whole spiel about hurricanes. It's an education. You learn things as you go. One of the things, and I'll also say this, here's a secret. Okay. And if you ever come to Florida, if you ever move to Florida, if you ever know somebody, one of the best times to prepare for a hurricane is after a hurricane. All right. Because what happens is the stores will stock up massively. Okay. Like Publix. All right. Right now, they're bringing in cases and cases and cases of water. So, and, I ended up Saturday getting a couple cases of water. I ordered one from Sam's Club, got that here. So, we're kind of stocked up on water. We're also stocked up on things like AA batteries. I have battery powered hurricane lanterns. I have multiple flashlights. I also have a hand crank solar powered Midland radio that's, it has a weather alert on it. It also has a hand crank generator to charge it. It also has a hand crank generator to charge your cell phones if you need it. So, you be prepared and you get smart. And you have a lot of other staples on hand, some canned foods as well, too. So, okay, hurricane prep. All right. Now, one of the things that I wanted to do, yeah, Jeff, we did fare well. Thank you. I appreciate that. We wrote it out and it went well. So thank you. I appreciate that. And thank you, Janice. I appreciate that as well, too. All right. So one of the things, challenges to using ham radio during a hurricane. Okay. And I wanted to talk about this for a few minutes because, in normal circumstances and, it's using a ham radio is kind of a no brainer. But when you're faced with a hurricane, you have several challenges that, that you have to overcome. And you can see right here, and I'm going to show you, this is my FT3D, and I have a nice diamond antenna on it. I mean, this thing's golden here. Okay. I also have, this is my FT5D, and I got a signal stick. Okay. And they really kind of don't come a whole lot better than a signal stick as far as an antenna is concerned. All right. And I'm going somewhere with this. All right. So, first thing that you have to be concerned about, if you know a lot about hurricanes, and if you've ever seen, there's a top-down view that they will show you. It's out on the National Weather, not the National Weather Service, NOAA. They'll show a top-down view of a hurricane, and you'll see hundreds of lightning strikes from the top of it. I mean, it's going constantly. Okay. The one thing that's guaranteed with hurricanes is there are massive amounts of lightning with this. It is truly a superstorm. So, the one thing that you can't do is if you have a permanent antenna set up in your house, you can't use it. Okay. You have to, you have to look elsewhere. Okay. As far as an antenna is concerned, because even you're grounded, whatever, you want to have that disconnected. Okay. Because you have, these lightning strikes can happen without warning. A lot of times, through WeatherBug, it will tell you where the nearest lightning strike is. It goes nuts because there's so many lightning strikes that can't keep up with it. Okay. So, that's one, that's the biggest, it's one of the biggest, if not the biggest challenge as far as ham radio is concerned, is lightning during these storms, because you can't use, if say you have a 7300 or 7900, 9700, or, whatever, you have a good base station, yeah, I'm an ICOM guy. All right. I admit it. I'm Yaesu HTs and ICOM transceivers. All right. So anyway, all right. That's one of the things that, you have to deal with is lightning. I mean, and it happens to all of us. You get ready, you're getting ready to do some QSOs, and then boom, okay, out of nowhere, there's a thunderstorm, and you got to disconnect, and you sit there and twiddle your thumbs. Okay, all right, that's the first part that's a challenge here. Okay, now one of the other things, all right, the house that you're in. Okay. And let me give you a little education here. Back in, I think it was 83, 84, Hurricane Andrew came through the state, and it was devastating. Okay. I mean, it was thousands of homes were destroyed. Okay. Hundreds of people got killed. It was bad. It was really bad down here. So what they did was they enacted new building codes across the entire state of Florida. All right. Every house has been built since then is built of block, okay, with concrete block. Our house is concrete block. All right, we have stucco on the outside of it, but it's concrete block, and it's done on purpose. And it's going to withstand these 125, 135, 140, 150 mile an hour winds. All right, it's built to do that. That's why they did that. All right. Now, one of the other things is, okay, and I don't know, well, the previous house we lived in had a wood frame inside of it, okay? This house has a metal frame, Okay. And I think you guys know where I'm going with this here. Okay. All right. It's not very conducive, even, during normal times, as far as me getting on my HT and talking to somebody in the house because of the metal. Now, something else that compounds that, all right, the shutters, all right, it's metal shutters. You want to have the radio wave, and I'm just, I'm not talking exact science here, so don't, don't shoot the messenger here. But these are metal shutters, okay, and radio waves need a way to get outside, and they need a way to get in back to your HT. All right, you compound the problem by having these metal shutters on because there's no way for it to go. You might barely be able to pick up a signal in the house. And I know that, and I can tell you because I've tested it, and I could barely get anything, especially when the shutters are up. Okay. So if I want to use my HT, I got to step outside, either out front or out back, and then I get a nice, I get a decent signal, and I'm able to use them. But because of that, I can't do that. Okay. Because, it's very limiting. So, and conversely, and tied in with that, of course, is the antennas. And you can see, I'm using probably two of the better antennas out here, this diamond antenna and the signal stick. Okay. They don't really come a whole lot better than that. One of the other possibilities as far as an antenna is concerned, but again, this is after a storm. This wouldn't be during a storm, is Ed Fong's J-pole. Okay. That you can use on an HT if you really want to try to get some distance. This is just, I'm just doing a lot of generalization here. And, this isn't an exact kind of science. And, this is just some of my thoughts and things that I've observed during my time down here in Florida, and especially being able to use radios. So in other words, during the height of the storm, you're not going to be able to be inside your house and use an HT. All right. And if it's a true out and out emergency, first responders aren't going to be able to come at that point in time anyway. All right. So, it would probably behoove you and, to know some basic first aid skills and have some things on hand to be able to deal with some things. And hopefully, you can be able to avert your crisis. But if it's life threatening, still, you gotta weigh the cost. And, you can't step outside in the middle when there's 75, 100-mile-an-hour winds. You can't go out there and do that. So, it's a delicate balance here that you have to have. You can't, if you find an opening and stick your antenna out, there's lightning all around. So that's just not going to work. You hopefully want to wait until things subside. You can be able to get outside, get away from all the metal, all the interference, and be able to get some good signals and get a QSO out there. Hey, this is, KWQ40, I need some help. Here's my location, and have at it, or get a hold of a repeater and get somebody and, tell them what your issue is. Again, this isn't a hard and fast kind of rules or anything. These are just some things that I've observed over the years as far as ham radio is concerned, and as far as, trying to communicate during these crises. It's not easy. Welcome, UTV and Ham. Good to see you tonight. It's not easy during you're at a high stress level as it is anyway. Okay. This was also the first hurricane that we've had where we didn't have anybody else over. Last year, we had my wife's dear mother over, my mother-in-law, absolutely love. And back in 2017, we had her mom, her dad, had my stepdaughter, her friend, and had, let's see, 1, 2, 3, had 4 dogs in the house. Okay. So we had a house full that night. Nobody really got any sleep that night. It actually was a pretty, good hurricane, 75 to 100-mile-an-hour winds. I mean, we heard our hurricane shutters flapping all night long. I mean, we had cloth ones then, and it was a mess. So this is the first time that yeah, but you're at a high stress level anyway, and you're trying to use, you're trying to communicate right now. We've never lost cell phone service, which is good, but you have to understand something too. During these times, 911 has to prioritize calls, and this is why it's good to have some supplies on hand. It's also good to have some basic first aid training. Probably good to know CPR as well too. Just some basic things to know when you do that. So, I wish I had some solutions for that. During the hurricane to be able to talk. More often than not, like I said, we haven't lost cell phone service. So, that's just that's good. That's good for us. That really is. But if we do lose cell phone service, and it is an emergency and it's calm enough, I'm going to use my HT. I'm going to go outside. I know where the nearest repeater is. I'm going to get on there and say, hey, list my call sign. Yeah, I need some help here. Okay. That's the best thing to do. So, it's just some thoughts and maybe some tips and some things you might not have been aware of, during these situations, because, not a lot of you have to face a hurricane. Not a lot of you have to face this kind of inclement weather. I know up north because I grew up north. I spent, a majority of my life up north, had to deal with winter and storm warnings and other things like that. And, you're able to use your HTs. You're able to get outside to do that, or you're able to use like a 7300 or 9700 or some other kind of rig, a QRP rig, like maybe a 705. You're able to do this kind of stuff, without having to worry about lightning, okay, or bad weather. You can have end-fed half waves up there to use as your primary antenna because you don't have that kind of high wind, high weather kind of a thing. So, the other thing I wanted to mention before we go is I really want to thank everybody last week. We had such a great time during the giveaway, and I did a mystery box unboxing from Gigaparts. That was a lot of fun and a lot of useful stuff. And I actually added up the cost, and it was pretty close to $200 what Gigaparts sent me. And Gigaparts, if you're watching, thank you again. That was so much fun. I had a blast. We're going to do it again sometime. And I'm going to I was able to get out on Monday and drop off all the winners' items. There they are. I was able to get that out in the mail on Monday, and I hope all of you have gotten them. If you've gotten them, drop me a line at hamradiobasics@gmail.com. Let me know that you got them. I want to make sure that you did. That was a lot of fun. We're going to be having more of that. And also, you're going to be seeing more content. And, that's one of the other things is, now that my hand is getting better, okay, I'm doing more content on my drone channel. Conversely, I'm going to be able to do more content here on my ham radio channel as well, too. So, be looking forward to that. We're going to do some more reviews. And also, this is kind of like it's not really breaking news, but, Hamcation's website is up and running. Tickets are available for sale right now. I've already got my media credentials. I've already made our hotel reservations. As you know, Orlando's probably about an hour and a half away from us, and Valerie and I are going to be there. Come up to me. We're going to be wearing shirts like this. We're going to have our name tags on with media credentials. Come up to me, say hi, meet Valerie and I. I'll definitely, at the very least, I'll get you some swag. We're going to carry some swag with us to drop off to some of the vendors, but we're also going to have enough for some of folks to come up to greet us there. So we're looking forward to that. That's coming up in February 2024. We're also making plans for Dayton for Hamvention in I think it's going to be May. And then we're also making plans for Huntsville next year in August because, these are the ones, I wanted to be able to go to this year, but, just an update regarding my hand. As you can see right now, I can almost, I can most of the time be able to touch that. My finger is mostly straight now. You can tell it's mostly straight. So I still have to wear a brace at night to get that taken care of. So, I want to thank all you guys tonight. And, Yeah, Jeff, it is. It is. His Ed's a genius, and I've talked with him several times via email. But Ed's a great guy. Absolutely love him. I love supporting him and what he does. He's one of the. I call him one of the unsung heroes of ham radio. He just, he really has his act together. He's a wonderful person, very friendly, very knowledgeable. He's a great, great, great guy. Yeah, that's true. That's true, Jeff. I like that. I'm looking through some of the comments right now. So, yeah, Chris, I can tell you that that signal stick will definitely change your life. I guarantee you that, and J pole as well too. Those are two things as far as using an HT is concerned that you got to have. I can't say enough about that. So. Want to thank you guys all for tuning in. Again, we're going to have more content coming up. I'm now that my hand is where it needs to be. Not 100%, but we're almost all the way there. I want to thank you guys for tuning in tonight. It was a blast. Had a lot of fun. Hope you guys found out some things about hurricanes and got somewhat of an education. That's what I want to do. I want to be able to provide that to you guys, so you can kind of get a gist of what we went through. We're fine. Most of the people here are fine. It's the lower lying areas that really need, you really need to pay attention to, and they will let people know when it's okay to go back. They open up a lot of high schools as shelters during times like these. So they got their act together as far as things are concerned down here in the state of Florida. So, John, thanks so much. I just want to thank all you guys for tuning in tonight. As always, remember, guys, it's a great day to make a Q. So 7 3s, everybody. Have a great rest of your evening.